There is a certain type of woman a man will never try to control because he's far too busy trying not to lose her. Pause for a moment and think about that. We live in a world full of advice on love, endless lists and techniques of seduction, all trying to tell us how to win a man's heart. You're told to be sweet but not too sweet, intelligent but not intimidating, sensual but not too available. A labyrinth of contradictory rules designed to shape you into a version that supposedly matches what men want. But what if this whole handbook is wrong? What if the very behavior that burns itself into a man's consciousness, keeps him awake at night and addicted to your presence is exactly what breaks all of those rules? It's not about outward beauty. Beauty may catch the eye, but it's quickly forgotten. And it's not about manipulation either. Tricks might work in the short term, but they always leave a bitter aftertaste. It's about something much deeper, an energy, a presence that some men describe as dangerous. Why dangerous? Because it's unpredictable, untamable, and above all, it cannot be possessed. So, what does this woman do that others don't? Or even more important, what doesn't she do that sparks this chaotic attraction? Why can a man meet 10 seemingly perfect women and forget them the next day, but never forget the one who acts as though she doesn't need him at all? This is where most women make their mistake. They believe they must give a man safety and comfort to keep him. Yet, what truly makes him addicted is a very particular kind of insecurity, not yours but his own. That quiet, constant feeling that you are a free spirit, a treasure he stumbled upon, but one that could vanish at any moment. The fear of losing you doesn't create panic. It becomes the engine of his desire. In the next few minutes, you won't hear cheap advice from some magazine. We'll do something more exciting. We'll break down the mechanism of male desire and uncover the missing puzzle piece no one has shown you until now. The quiet authority of a woman who belongs to herself, a woman who in and of herself is already a kingdom. To understand this energy, we first need to face an uncomfortable truth. Most relationships don't end because of big dramas or betrayal. They die slowly of boredom, predictability, and the silent erosion of admiration and desire. They die when one person becomes like a piece of furniture to the other, useful, comfortable, but no longer exciting. The trigger for this decay is almost always the same: the shift from privilege to optional. What does that mean? It means you go from being the woman whose message made his heart race to the one he replies to the next day. From being his main plan on a Friday night to a backup if nothing else works out. It's the difference between a man who does everything to be part of your world and one who expects you to dissolve into his. So the big question is, what makes the difference? What quality? What attitude elevates a woman from interesting to unforgettable? As I said, it's not her resume, her bank account, or her facial features. It's a special energy she radiates, a frequency men unconsciously perceive as absolutely irresistible, and yes, in a strange way also intimidating. Irresistible because it's real, in a world full of masks and conformity. She is a lighthouse of authenticity. She doesn't need validation. She has already given it to herself. Intimidating because her happiness doesn't depend on him. For a man used to being the center of his partner's universe, that is a true challenge to his ego. Her calmness and self-sufficiency send a clear message. My world is fascinating with you in it, but if you leave, it remains fascinating. Anyway, this attitude is not a threat. It's a fact, and it's precisely this emotional independence that paradoxically makes her even more attractive. The message of this video is clear. We will identify, analyze, and learn how to cultivate this energy. It's not about faking indifference. That would be weakness. It's about developing such a deep interest in your own life that your energy becomes magnetic all on its own. We'll explore why the male instinct shaped by thousands of years of hunting and challenge responds so strongly to this kind of woman, and you'll come to understand why being dangerously seductive has nothing to do with danger, but everything to do with true self-respect. To grasp the source of this power, we need to enter the center of man's inner conflict. It's a duality as old as humanity itself, a constant battle in his mind, even if he isn't fully aware of it. On one side stands his desire for stability, peace, a safe harbor. The part of him that wants a partner, a home, a routine that brings order. The logical, rational voice that whispers, "Here you are safe." On the other side is a much more primal instinct, the longing for challenge, adventure, for the unattainable. The part of him that doesn't want a harbor, but an open sea, that doesn't seek rest, but conquest, not comfort, but aliveness. The voice that says, out there is something that will make you truly feel alive. Most women usually unconsciously speak only to one side of this duality. Think of the image of the gentle, accommodating partner. She is the embodiment of the safe harbor. She offers comfort, agrees with him, shapes her routine around his, soothes his worries. Her love is a balm, And at the beginning that feels incredibly attractive. It's easy, pleasant. He feels like a king in a peaceful, predictable castle. No dramas, no friction. His mind gives her the highest rating. But then another kind of energy appears. She isn't a rival in the traditional sense. In fact, it seems as though she hardly even notices him. She's a woman with what we call queen energy. She doesn't offer a man a safe harbor because she herself is the open sea. She doesn't give him a castle because she's too busy building her own kingdom. She doesn't organize her life around him. She invites him in, but only if he proves himself worthy of being part of her world. Her love isn't a bomb that soothes. It's a fire that challenges him to grow. She doesn't automatically agree with him. She speaks her truth even when it contradicts his. And this is where the man's inner conflict explodes. His mind tells him to stay in the safe, predictable castle. It sounds logical, reasonable, but his instinct, his raw primal nature, feels irresistibly drawn to the open sea, because the castle, as comfortable as it may be, eventually becomes a golden cage. Predictability turns into monotony, peace into boredom. Meanwhile, the queen's energy echoes in his mind, not as an obsession, but as a lasting resonance. The memory of a conversation where she challenged him intellectually, the glow in her eyes when she spoke of her passions, her projects, her life that exists with or without him. Suddenly the safety of the castle feels less appealing because the real fire, the real vitality seems to be elsewhere. He is caught between two forces, comfort and vitality, safety and mystery, and it is on this silent battlefield that the true power of attraction is decided. So how does this queen energy show itself in daily life? What concrete behaviors make her so irresistible? The answer is subtler and more powerful than most expect. It's important to grasp a fundamental distinction because this is exactly where many women go wrong. Queen energy does not mean arrogance, coldness, hurting others, or pretending to be a queen. Those are masks of insecurity, imitations of strength that in truth reveal bitterness. The real energy we're talking about comes from an entirely different place. Self-respect. Think of it as radical inner calm, the ability to remain centered and steady. No matter how chaotic or oppressive the outside world becomes, it's a calm that doesn't need to shout because its strength is unshakable. This woman doesn't chase excitement. It comes to her. She doesn't seek validation. Her presence is enough, and her greatest weapon, the very thing that makes her dangerously seductive, are her boundaries. Firm boundaries set with elegance and disarming gentleness. Let's take an example you probably know well. Imagine you've planned a date with him. You've been looking forward to it all day. Then 1 hour before a message arrives, "Hey, sorry, something came up with my friends, tonight won't work, let's do it another time." The woman who acts out of neediness, the safe harbor woman, feels the sting of disappointment. Her first impulse is to smooth things over to avoid conflict. Her typical reply, "No problem. I understand, have fun. Let me know when you're free again." It sounds friendly and reasonable, but the message he unconsciously receives is, my time isn't that important. My plans are flexible. I'll wait until you give me attention." In that moment, she has devalued herself. And how does the woman with queen energy respond? She feels the disappointment just the same. She's human after all. But she doesn't act from that feeling. She stays true to herself, takes a breath, gives herself a moment, and might then reply, "I understand. Sometimes things come up, too bad. I was really looking forward to enjoy your evening. Next week I'm already booked, but we can see in a few days if it works." Let's analyze this message. No drama, no accusations, no slammed doors. She shares her true feeling. "I was really looking forward to it." That makes her authentic. But the second part is a bomb to his ego. "Next week I'm already booked." That sends 3 clear signals. My life is full and introspection has real consequences. And the ball is now in your court. This is where it gets psychologically interesting. Inside him rises frustration. "Wait, she doesn't have time for me," panic. "Maybe I made a mistake." And most of all, respect. He runs into a boundary set with charm, but set clearly. He realizes she is not a backup plan. And suddenly, the date he just cowed so carelessly becomes valuable. His hunter's instinct awakens. This dynamic repeats itself in countless situations. When she doesn't respond to a midnight text, when she isn't afraid to voice a different opinion, when she chooses an evening with her friends, or her training over his last-minute suggestion. All of this may look selfish, but in truth, it's the pure expression of self-respect, and it's in those moments that he realizes he's dealing with a very different kind of relationship, one where the usual rules don't apply. He understands her attention, her time, her agreement are not to be taken for granted. They must be earned. In that moment of frustration and fascination, his inner world collides with a brutal but liberating truth. There is a difference between loving a woman and admiring her. He can love the woman who laughs at all his jokes, but he admires the one who challenges him with a smile. He can love the woman who cancels her plans for him, but he admires the one who makes him rearrange his own plans to see her. He can love the woman who always agrees with him, but he admires the one who defends her views so passionately that he's forced to become wiser. The realization hits him like a wave. Superficial affection and fleeting attraction are born of love, but deep desire, emotional connection, and true lasting love are born of admiration. Respect is not an extra to desire, it is its foundation. Respect is the oxygen of long-term attraction. Without it, every flame dies out. Now he understands. The woman who made everything easy for him offered a comfortable but cheap kind of love. But deep inside, no man truly wants something cheap. He wants something valuable, something that requires effort, not out of masochism, but because winning something valuable confirms his own worth. And here comes the decisive realization. A man can play with a princess, visit her castle, enjoy her devotion, and feel powerful. He can be the center of her small, predictable world, but he will only kneel before a queen. And what is the crucial difference? The princess waits in her tower to be rescued by the prince, to be given meaning, to be validated. Her universe is him. But the queen waits for no one. She is too busy building her kingdom, fighting her battles, overcoming her fears, and fulfilling her visions. She is not looking for a savior. She is looking for an equal, a king who will rule by her side. When a man truly grasps this, his inner compass shifts forever. He stops looking for a girl who needs him. Instead, he seeks a woman who doesn't need him, but chooses him again and again. And here the great question arises. How do you become this queen? How do you step out of the role of the princess? How do you build an inner kingdom so radiant and magnetic that it changes everything? It is not a switch you flip. It is a process, a decision you make every single day. And this process is rooted deeply in the active building of your own kingdom. This step has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with you. It rests on 4 pillars. First pillar, a queen has a purpose larger than herself. Ask yourself honestly, if love disappeared tomorrow, where would your energy go? Into your career, into learning a language, into writing a book, into sports. It doesn't matter what it is. The important thing is that this mission becomes your center of gravity. A man who sees a woman with a mission instantly realizes he will never be the center of her world. And that thought alone inspires him. Second pillar, build your fortress. This is your emotional, social, and financial independence. It's the friends who were there before he arrived and who will still be there if he leaves. It's your own income, your ability to solve problems yourself. To become dependent on a man means handing him the keys to your kingdom. Third pillar, master the art of joyful solitude. There is a vast difference between being alone and feeling lonely. The princess fears silence because she hears emptiness within it. The queen loves it because it is where she meets herself. Enjoy your own company. Go to the movies alone, travel alone, read alone. Show the world that your happiness comes from within. Fourth pillar, carve your laws in stone. These are your non-negotiable principles. Write down 3 to 5 rules that no one may break if they want to be part of your life. For example, I do not tolerate disrespect. These are not wishes. They are laws and you uphold them without exception. My time for my passions is sacred. I do not accept vague or inconsistent messages. These laws are your constitution, and here's the crucial part. You don't need to announce them. You need to live them. If someone breaks one of your laws, you don't create drama. You act with radical calm. Often that simply means withdrawing your time and attention. And yes, the fear arises. What if I set boundaries and he leaves? But that is the wrong question. The right one is, why would I ever want a man in my life who cannot respect my most fundamental values? Your queen energy, your boundaries are not rejection. They are the most effective filter there is. They keep away those who are looking for a mother, insecure men who crave validation, and the comfortable ones who want a servant. And they attract only one kind of man, the one who is not intimidated by your strength but inspired by it. The one who does not want to rescue a princess, but build something with a queen. The fascinating truth is this. We've been searching for the key to the male mind and finally discovered that the key was never meant for his door, but for ours. The goal was never to become the object of his desire. The goal has always been to remain the subject of your own life. The behavior men find dangerously seductive is not a technique of seduction. It is a byproduct. It is the fragrance of a woman deeply in love with her own life, who lives at peace with her solitude, and who has turned her very existence into a work of art. Because the most attractive and powerful woman in the world is not the youngest, not the most beautiful, not the richest. She is the woman who needs no one, but but consciously chooses to share her incredible life with someone who has proven he deserves it. At the core, this means needing no one does not equal isolation or an inability to love. It means your happiness, your confidence, your inner peace are non-negotiable and not dependent on outside validation. It means you know that no one is coming to save you because you're your own heroine. It means that even if you had to spend the rest of your life alone, you would still be at peace, fulfilled and happy. And when you reach this point, the second half of the sentence becomes magical. But I choose you consciously. When you don't need a man, the decision to be with him becomes the purest and most powerful gift you can give. It is not a choice made out of fear of loneliness, not the result of social pressure, not an attempt to fill a void. It is a choice born of fullness. My world is already complete, but your presence makes it shine. I don't need you to survive. I choose you to truly live. What could be more seductive? In truth, you are telling him, you are a luxury, not a necessity. Now, look deep within yourself. How often have you shrunk your dreams to fit into someone else's expectations? How often have you muted your voice, your opinion, your passion just so you wouldn't be too much, too intense, too smart, too ambitious? The final paradoxical truth about attraction is this. You stop trying to be attractive and start being authentic, building a life that excites you. You become magnetic because energy doesn't lie. People are not drawn to perfection. They are drawn to passion, authenticity, and vitality, to those who are truly alive. And no one is more alive than a woman who is the absolute sovereign of her own kingdom. That brings us to the end of this map. But the end of the map is only the beginning of your journey. And one last most important question remains. Will you continue playing a side role in someone else's film of life? Or will you find the courage to write, direct, and star in your own? Because for far too long we've been sold a toxic picture of love. That to love means to give yourself up, to shrink, to become smaller. We were taught to be quieter, to demand less, to be less complicated, to bend, to be accepted, to lower our standards so we wouldn't scare anyone away, to settle for less in order to be chosen. But now you know that is the greatest lie of all. Making yourself small attracts those who live in basement. Small dreams leave space only for people without vision. A muted voice makes room only for those who have nothing meaningful to say. The truest, strongest, most revolutionary act of love is not directed toward someone else. It is directed toward yourself. It lies in the decision never again to betray the woman you truly are just to become the version someone else wants you to be. It is a promise to yourself to create a life so full, so exciting, so truly yours that solitude feels like a luxury and companionship feels like a wonderful choice. Because in the end, it is not about finding the perfect man. It is about becoming a woman so whole, so strong, so free that any man who enters your life must be extraordinary to be worthy of staying. So don't adjust yourself to his life. Elevate your own so high, so radiant, so bold that he dreams every night of becoming part of it. This isn't about cheap tricks. This is about creating true queens. And if you feel this message resonate within you, if you believe in the power of self-respect, then you found your place. Join us and become part of a community of women who do not wait.